This is the aftermath of an attack on a train heading to Mumbai, where a police officer shot and killed his superior and then 3 visibly Muslim men. And this is a right-wing Hindu nationalist mob marching in Haryana state calling for the extermination of their Muslim neighbors. India is home to more than 213 million Muslims, the largest religious minority in the country. But a string of recent attacks has left many wondering if they're safe in their homeland.
How is it possible that an hour away from the national capital, you have hate rallies asking for boycott and apartheid and ethnic cleansing, and the state cannot arrest the perpetrators? Our forefathers fought for the liberation of this country from the British. To have then to prove your Indianness to the country is the ultimate humiliation. It is exhausting for an Indian Muslim to constantly prove his Indianness, to constantly say, hey, I love my country.
2023 was the year Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed global leaders of the G20 to the so-called largest democracy in the world. But India's minorities are wondering if they're protected in the country.
There is not a day in India that there isn't a hate crime against a Muslim or a Dalit or an Adivasi or a Christian in this country.
Rana Ayub is a journalist who has been closely following the treatment of minorities in India. But now she's become the target of the Modi government.
There's this constant mental harassment and mental intimidation where you drown journalists in a battery of cases.
So what is India really like for many of its citizens? And why is it so different from the story Modi is pushing in front of world leaders? On July 31st, 2023, Chetan Singh, a 33-year-old police constable, allegedly shot and killed his superior officer and then walked into different train compartments, firing 12 rounds from his gun, killing 3 Muslim men.
Honestly, present-day India, there hasn't been something like this. This is like literally before G20. This is a depravity I have not seen before so far. I mean, if this is not a terror attack, I don't know what else is a terror attack. How else does a terrorist look like?
Chetan Singh picked out 3 men with beards, and according to some eyewitnesses, even asked some of his victims if they were Muslim before shooting them.
And he has the temerity to stand there, invoke Modi and Yogi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, and say, if you want to live in India, then Modi and Yogi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his BJP party, which runs the government, has been accused of encouraging violence against minorities in India, especially Muslims. And BJP leader Yogi Adityanath, the chief minister of the state of Uttar Pradesh and Modi's potential successor, has been known for using hate speech and his calls for India to be a Hindu nation.
भारत हिंदू राष्ट्र था, है और वर्तमान में भी रहेगा, आगे भी रहेगा.
Some news outlets and officials blame Chetan Singh's behavior on mental illness. But Rana says people like Chetan Singh don't act in a vacuum.
Chetan Singh did not happen in a void. He happened because the way hate politics in India has been normalized, for him to feel that he can get away with something like this with impunity. Because here is a man that 6 years ago, he was involved in another hate crime, but he was still given a weapon.
Chetan Singh was arrested and charged with the killings. But Rana says that while the violence happened at an individual level, the sentiment behind it wasn't.
There are many more Chetan Singhs operating in India right now, on our social media, on our internet, on our Facebook, who just do not have a weapon in their hand. So that's the climate that Indian Muslims are facing and Indian minorities are facing right now.
And it's not just individual actions that threaten the lives of Muslims. You're watching a right-wing Hindu mob marching against their Muslim neighbors in the state of Haryana. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. The groups behind this rally are the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and its youth wing, the Bajrang Dal. The Bajrang Dal is accused of lynching 2 Muslim men earlier this year for allegedly transporting beef. But the people behind the killings have still not been arrested. Since cows are sacred to certain Hindu castes, killing cows is illegal in many states. But many times, so-called cow vigilantes take matters into their own hands.
There was a culture of communal polarization which happened because the state administration looked the other way. The police was just pretending like, okay, what is happening?
Muslim residents were upset at the lynchings and the lack of justice, and did not want the rallies in their towns.
I think Muslims pelted stones at a Hindu rally.
In response, the Hindu supremacist groups then forced Muslim businesses in the town of Nu to shut down. and then called for their extermination. Buildings and cars were set on fire, and an imam calling for peace in a neighboring district was murdered in the violence.
A mob entered that mosque and he was killed, and the mosque was attacked. So clearly what happened in Haryana was a complete breakdown of law and order, where the state looked the other way.
Nu is nearly 77% Muslim, but even in places where Muslims are the majority, they still live in danger.
Look at these, the images are searing, and this is not the image of a democracy where we're still talking about communal violence. In Nu is, how far is it from 7RCR, the Prime Minister's residence?
The town of Nu is only about 2 hours away from where Prime Minister Narendra Modi currently resides. And instead of condemning the action, the government joined in the oppression. Police made over 150 arrests, but almost all of those arrests were of Muslim residents. Then the government brought in the new symbol of oppression against Muslims, a bulldozer.
Instead of dispensing justice, what was happened was Muslim houses were being demolished.
Over 300 Muslim homes and businesses were bulldozed. It's a tactic the BJP has been known to use throughout the country in the aftermath of religious violence.
The High Court has said that the attempt to demolish Muslim houses looks like an attempted ethnic cleansing. It's not me, it's the High Court which has cast aspersions. It is the Supreme Court of India which has asked to stop hate rallies in India. It is a big problem.
Rana says instead of condemning the behavior of Hindu supremacist groups and BJP leaders inciting violence, Prime Minister Modi has purposely stayed silent.
This nafrat, this hate is the new language of this country. And I constantly feel that we have a Prime Minister who wants to tweet about everything. Instagram stars, food, festivals, world leaders. Why can't the Prime Minister of the country put out a simple tweet, not blaming anybody, saying, I will not tolerate any communal violence in the country? Why isn't the Prime Minister of the country not giving a clarion call for peace?
The leaders of the BJP or Bharatiya Janata Party have their origins in the Hindu nationalist organization called the RSS, or Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The RSS pushes a Hindutva ideology, which promotes the belief that India should be a Hindu nation. While India is majority Hindu, Muslims make up about 15% of the country's population. And since the BJP gained power in 2014, its leaders have been using their positions to marginalize Muslim voices in India. They've even rewritten government history books to remove mentions of Muslim rulers, and in some cases, even renamed streets named after Indian Muslims.
We are going back to an age where we are promoting a very far-right ideology in our textbooks. I won't be surprised if tomorrow the Taj Mahal is being renamed. I hope it does not, but I won't be surprised.
The state of Uttar Pradesh, where Yogi Adityanath is in charge, is home to 38 million Muslims. But his policies and speeches have brought discrimination against Muslims to the forefront. This is a video of a Hindu school teacher in India telling her students to slap a Muslim student in class and telling him he should be expelled. This othering of Muslims has now become mainstream and is even seen in Indian pop culture, especially Bollywood. India's Hindi language movie industry has been rife with blockbuster releases with sensational anti-Muslim stories.
Every time there is a violent act, you see a green flag. You see somebody offering a namaz.
The Kashmir Files, released in 2022, is about the exodus of a certain caste of Hindus called Kashmiri Pandits from Indian-administered Kashmir. The fictional story has been accused of being inaccurate and for villainizing Muslim Kashmiris.
I think I had to just step out of the theatre because it got too triggering for me. The fact that Muslims love to see blood all around them of innocence, the way we were talking about jihad, the way our children talk about jihad as if that's the only thing that they want in life, is the children waging jihad in India. And to see the immediate impact on the audience members. So the woman who's sitting in front of me, this pregnant woman, was like, "Ye log aise hi hote hain," and I had to turn and I said, "Kaise hote hain?" And she was like, "The Muslim." I said, "Yeah, I'm a Muslim." She said, "Yeah, but you're all like this." And I felt so isolated in the theatre because nobody spoke up for me.
And in 2023, the Kerala story spread the false narrative that many young Indian women were being targeted and recruited by ISIS members. This concept is known across India as love jihad. It's a popular conspiracy theory that Muslim men are purposely trying to marry Hindu women in order to convert them, and in turn, forcing the Hindu population of the country to go down.
दुश्मनी रिश्ते बनाओ जरूरत पड़े तो उन्हें प्रेग्नेंट करो.
How many cases of love jihad can the government of the day prove on the floor of the house? But we don't need that. We have enough hate rallies, television programming, WhatsApp forwards, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. That is enough to make you believe it's existing. You are making an entire majority community in India feel like victims in their own country. I have never seen a majority feel like victims in their own country saying, you guys are taking from us what was ideally ours.
Rana says India's majority needs to do its part to curb the violence and hate in the country.
The people are witnessing the lynchings. The people are witnessing the hate crimes. The people are witnessing the demolition of Muslim houses. They're witnessing the hate messages on their WhatsApp, but they are being passive observers, even the well-meaning people. And that is happening because of this climate of fear.
For Rana, there's a stark difference in the reality on the ground and what's being projected of India to the outside world.
I go around in Bombay, Delhi. I see these massive G20 posters saying Mother of Democracy to host G20. And in the background of this, I see massive hate rallies, love jihad rallies, where there are cops in attendance and there are orange caps and flags with Hindu nationalist anthems.
In addition to her reporting, Rana has a weekly column with the Washington Post. And when she writes about hate crimes and the treatment of minorities in India, she not only gets death threats from Hindu nationalists, she's also targeted by the BJP government. The Indian government has tied Rana up in money laundering and tax evasion court cases, which she and critics have called sham charges.
So many of us have received income tax notices and being asked to list our foreign sources or list where do we get our earnings from. What you do is you send out a message, you pick up 3 or 4 people and you file cases, you send them behind bars, and then you set an example saying if we can do this to them who are high profile, you don't even know what we can do to you. I hope there is a day that goes by that we don't have to go to court or we don't have to go to the police station. The kind of rape and death threats that I have been tagging Mumbai police forever now, where they have put pictures of my house outside on social media, where they have been doxing me. There's so much impunity that they don't even think that they should delete their threat to me, because they know nothing is going to happen. It's happening to me, it's happening to every third journalist. Some of us are in positions of power where we have international exposure, so our cases get spoken about. But there are journalists who are suffering in silence. And that is the state of affair of journalists in India.
Many times when Indian Muslims speak up, they're often labeled as Pakistani sympathizers or not Indian enough.
I feel, as James Baldwin said, I love my country, which is why I feel the right to criticize it. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it, which is why I'm trying to work on it, which is why I'm trying to make my country a better place, which is why I'm trying to protect my country from the fascists. This is the India I grew up in. I do not want this country to be decimated on religious lines.